The Take It Back movement had been at the forefront of demanding for the release from detention of OlamideThomas. Let me start by asking, what's the update based on our recent detention, please?
Yes, as you know, Olamide was uh, arrested, or for better one, for want of a better word, he was actually abducted, really, by policemen who were deployed from Abuja, and the reason for arrest or abduction, as the case may be, was because she cursed out the IGP of police and the police PPRO after she was brutalized at a protest on October 2020. That is the Hensas Memorial Protest of October 2020. So policemen were deployed. She was at first they tracked her brother. Was it not her uncle, to be precise? And then he was used to get through to her, and then till she was detained, and then taken all the way to Abuja. Presently, she's detained at that. The information before us now is that she's at the cybercrime unit, at the FCID, and already we have lawyers on the ground at the FCID, to be precise, who are ready to secure a bail, both in the court and outside of. But the lawyers are on standby to take up case against the police misuse of power.
Great. In your view, what does this arrest of OlamideThomas tell us about the current climate for freedom of speech in Nigeria?
There is an ongoing conversation on Twitter. Under the government of Tinubu, perhaps in a much more worse dimension than it ever was under the Buhari's government. Presently, we've seen the misuse of state institutions, the misuse of power, impunity in the way Dele Farotimi was abducted is being manipulated to serve the interest. Yes, in Ekiti State, to serve the interest of powerful few. So what we've seen is a trend of ongoing repression against civic rights. It's a trend of trend of impunity, as the case may be, and this calls for serious concern, because the implication now is that our institutions, whether police or the judiciary, is now available for hire by people in positions of authority, or people with billions, or people with money. So I think this is not where we should descend to as a people, and it's very important that Nigerians begin to rise. Actually, Nigerians can hardly afford to feed. Petrol price, from the end bad governance protest was in August, right? It was a protest against economic hardship. Things have become much more worse now. Perhaps inflation had perhaps gone up twice than it was when we had the August end bad governance protest. So rather than the Tinubu government addressing the crisis, the hardship of the Nigerian people, the government seemed to be doing worse, imposing much more terrible policies on the Nigerian people. But at the same time, while people are suffering, the government also wants to ensure people do not have the capacity to complain. Even children who are complaining, who are protesting that they are hungry, Tinubu wants to kill them. He's charging them for the police. They charge them for capital offense. As it stands now, we have people being tried in Katsina, over the end bad governance. People say they are hungry, but the only response is not to address it. But you are demanding. Tinubu is demanding for their blood. And sadly, our state institutions, police and judiciary, have rather than serving the people who pay their taxes, they have become hatchet man that does the bid of reckless executives and reckless people in power. This is the stage we are in 2024. under the government of Tinubu, and it is very, very important that either as activists, as citizens, and as the media, there is a need to have a united voice and come and collectively confront the Tinubu's fascism.
Now, some have argued that the silencing of dissent is becoming a political tool for maintaining power. Do you think the Nigerian government's actions are part of a wider strategy to suppress political opposition and limit democratic engagement? Okay, perhaps you might need to move a little bit further from the phone. Some have argued that the silencing of dissent is becoming a political tool for maintaining power. Do you think the Nigerian government's actions are part of a wider strategy, so to speak, in order to suppress political opposition and limit democratic engagement?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. It's a state policy. It's a state policy to use instrumentalities of repression, the police, the military, to repress, call for good governance, and you know it is sad that we're also in a situation where it is those who are demanding for good governance and those who are expressing peaceful dissent are those being treated as terrorists in Nigeria. They are the ones being sent to jail. They are the ones being granted repressive and highly vindictive bail conditions. But look at Yaya Bello. Bello was encouraged into the court. It was as though it was Yaya Bello who arrested the people who were charging him and not the other way. And they walked majestically into the court and was granted, and was in fact granted bail, you know, without drama. But those who have called out the impunity of the system, those who have dared to be patriotic, those who have dared to do their job as journalists in good conscience have been subjected to ridicule. I think it is a state policy that has institutionalized criminality and has institutionalized repression. And it is the reason we are not getting out of this until we take conscious decision to end it.
So, what impact do you believe that the arrest and the intimidation of critics and activists has on the brothers' public willingness to engage in political discourse or protest?
Yeah, I think the reason the government of Tinubu is going after critics is in order to scare people away from speaking, is to achieve a situation where it governs over a conquered population. But there is history to back up the fact that there is no government that have ever defeated the people. That is the end goal of the government of Tinubu. But the Nigerian people would definitely not take this lightly with him.
How do activists navigate the dangers of speaking out, especially when the state has demonstrated a willingness to arrest, detain, or harass critics?
Okay. Yes, I think the idea I think the idea is really not to stop speaking. And to put it out there, this is a complete misnomer. We should not have a country where citizens should not be able to hold their government accountable. We should not have a country where holding government accountable needs to come at great cost. This holding government to account, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly are constitutionally enshrined. And also these are also domiciled in international laws. So, but the truth of the matter here is that we are in an anomaly. And as people of Nigeria, as activists, we will not stop speaking, even at the great personal cost as you have described it. But we do not have to. But we do not have to continue making these sacrifices. If as Nigerian people we are willing to rise together, speak in unison, stand in one voice, and simply put an end to this impunity. So that is like I said, no government in history have been able to defeat the people, especially when people are united in their aim to attain freedom.
Do you believe that Nigerian citizens will continue to support or challenge the government stance, given the risk involved in activism?
When NSAS happened, many people believed that Nigeria, after the violent repression, many people believed that Nigerian people would not have the balls to confront the government anymore, which primarily was the aim, right? But 4 years after, we had end bad governance protests happened across this country, and it was even hottest in the northern part of the country, including Lagos and Abuja. And to be clear, this is not the Nigerian people are not Buhari or Tinubu. These are not the first authoritarians the Nigerian people would confront. The Nigerian people had an history of confronting military dictators, right? They confronted the colonialists, and this came at great personal cost. There were massacres in the histories of our resistance. We had there was River Valley massacre. There was the Ali Must Go. There was the Ali Must Go struggle. There was the 1986 Abu Zaria massacre. Different. So Nigerian people the Nigerian people have defended its freedom with blood and sweat. And for every time when people think that the Nigerian people have been defeated, we always bounce back. It was the case with 2020. It was the case with end bad governance protests, and Nigerian people will continue to resist.
Finally, given the current climate, what message would you like to send to young Nigerians, activists, and those who are witnessing these events unfold?
Our message is simple, and it is that we keep fighting. We have nothing to lose but our chance.
Comrade Juwon Sanyolu, thank you so much. That's the national coordinator of the Take It Back movement. We appreciate your perspectives.
Thank you for having me.